Okay, quickest and easiest method to stapboard haircut. I'm going to start off with sectioning, okay? So find your hairline at the neck here. See how this is coming up straight. We want to follow that and part all the way up to the apex and get this out of the way. Same thing on this side. So here is her hairline. Follow that all the way up to the apex, top of the head. Center part, so it actually makes a T on top of the head. Right here, right here. Really important when you're cutting, especially when you're layering, that you don't accidentally do something like this, and then this section is now back here. With this section, when you're layering, that'll make you accidentally cut this off because there's no guide here, and that'll make a hole. So back to the right way to keep you on track and from making mistakes. So again, straight line from the hairline up to the apex. All right, and then back here, we're going to the top of the ear to the top of a ear over here. So we got a straight part going across there. All of this is going to be cut with a razor. And remember, for your razor facing you, you want the guard facing you. You do not want to see the razor blade. That means that you're holding it wrong. So guard facing you. You can hold your razor either like this with your thumb in the little divot, your pinky, or like this, whichever method you like. When you're palming, just drop that razor into your palm with the guard on. You're not going to cut yourself. Okay. Hold your, here's how you palm. Razor in the last two fingers, comb in the front three. So we're going to comb through and get our section that I want to cut. So using the tip of my comb, first we got to make sure our head is straight, and I do have her angled down. So using the tip of the comb, we go through and we get our section. Comb these other ones out of the way, straight down. We got to cut off at least an inch per stapboard. Now we could do fingers like this. Now remember, measuring, you've got to include what you're holding in your fingers because we're cutting above the fingers, okay? So now I've transferred my comb over to here. Now I'm ready to go with this hand. Remember that our razor, when we want to cut, we've got to do light feathery strokes. And notice I'm holding the blade against the hair, not like this. Get my next section. So we always want to start in the center and work out to the sides. Now, if you feel like your fingers aren't able to hold onto the hair, I suggest grabbing it with your index finger and your thumb. You can still slide that comb in there and see how I can see my guide is slipping away there, so I know it's time to cut. And that will help you if you feel like your fingers aren't strong enough to stay together and hold that hair while you're cutting, especially if you maybe need a new razor blade. Like I do. Only I would do a haircut video with a dull razor blade. Okay, so now we've got our center. I don't want to be getting in the way. Let's see if that works. So you notice every time I go to transfer this comb into my hand, this razor automatically goes to my palm and faces me. That way I'm not accidentally combing her hair, getting my razor mixed in there. Okay, we got our 0 elevation. Now we got to come in at, I'm going to say come in at a 45. But for state board, it's any elevation. I think 45 is safest for blending. So there goes my guide dropping out. So we got our center section. Now I'm going to come over here to my side. Make sure all of that hair is combed nice and straight and in a nice tight position. And you can see there's my guide as that starts to drop out. Let my guide drop out. And remember, you don't want to be just like chopping through the hair and forcing the razor. You kind of want to just use those light feathery strokes. Okay, so now you want to come through and cross-check. So what that means is we cut our layers vertically. So we're going to come across horizontally. I'm getting a nice straight horizontal line, and I'm gonna see my razor's palmed, and I'm gonna come up to the scalp and pull my hands out at the same speed. And I just want to make sure that my layers are lining up, and they are, so we know I'm safe to proceed. Okay, that's the only part we have to do with the razor. Put our razor down, and now we need some scissors. Now we're going to leave this clipped, we're going to go to the sides. So second step, scissor the side length. All those S's. So now this way, and of course we have to make sure that everything stays nice and saturated so our haircut's even. We got to make sure her head is straight. And we're going to comb these sides all the way back. So what I actually do is back here at the nape, kind of separate this in half, okay? And I'm gonna pull this hair over here, and I'm combing all the way through the section against her neck, and all of this, because I wanna make sure I get everything. And I gotta stay in my little cutting zone of not cutting past my second knuckle. So I just want to squeeze all that hair so you can see exactly what I'm going to be cutting off. Here's my second knuckle, so I'm within the cutting zone, and we're going to cut that length to match the back. We don't want to recut our back because state board needs to see that that's razored. Now, other side length. So again, head straight, thoroughly saturated. Get all that hair combed flat against her, 0 elevation, because this is a length guide. And we're going to take all this hair from the neckline, just kind of squeeze that over. And we can see exactly where we are supposed to be cutting. I don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah. And oh, let me get inside my cutting zone. So I squeeze all that hair inside my cutting zone here. If in doubt, move over a little bit. We don't want to accidentally cut past our second knuckle. Okay, side length is done. Now we're gonna go and we're gonna make our guide for our front. So get you like a little triangle section here on each side of her part. And we need to take at least an inch off. So here we go. Take this off. Straight down at a 0 elevation. Now we need to blend what we just did here into these sides. So she's just gonna have like a slight angle. Now when we go to blend into the sides, I want you to take from like in front of the ear. Okay, because I don't want you to accidentally cut the side length off. So here's the ear, right at the temple. You're gonna comb that into this bang guide that you just made. And you can see our bang guide here and our length guide here. We're gonna hold that, and you can kind of, as you pull across the face, that's gonna help create that angle to leave that length on the bottom. So we're just connecting the dots, guide to guide. Now we're gonna come over here and do the same thing. So again, just right in front of that ear, using that, we're gonna connect the bang guide to the length guide. Bang guide to the length guide right here. You can see we're just connecting the dots. And you always like to leave a little bit exposed because you don't want to be cutting against your skin, because that's how you cut yourself. Okay, so now we did that. You can kind of even be checking, make sure this is doing good. Okay, now we need to make our layer guide. So get you about an inch in the very center, which means you're gonna have a ½ inch on both sides of that part. So here's my part, pulling up a ½ inch on both sides, including that bang section. And you can see that is going to be my guide, that little bang section we already cut. See it there? So this is when we're cutting up. So we're just going to go straight up. We're not recutting our guide, we're just cutting to it. And if we should maybe go this way. Comb this, everything's going to be nice and straight. And in my cutting zone, now we're gonna, that's our layer guide. We're gonna separate that right back to our middle part. And now we've got a piece of our layer guide falling on each side of the head. And now, before we do our layer guide, or we just did our layer guide, before we do our blending our layers, we're gonna clip this section out of the way so we don't accidentally cut it off when we're doing our layers. Okay, so this is clipped out of the way right now. And all we have to do is connect our length guide to our layer guide. So we're gonna take a vertical section, it's a rectangle, and we're gonna comb it out from the head. And we are just going to connect the dots. So squeezing that together into my cutting zone, you can see here's my length guide here, here's my layer guide up here. See that in between? So we're cutting off the stuff in between. And doing the same thing here. And I like to pick up a little bit from my previous section just to be safe. And I'm even gonna get that bang in there, and I'm just gonna make sure that I'm combing vertically, and I'm kind of back, I'm staying within my section back here, not pulling forward or pivoting. You want to stay within your section throughout this whole haircut. Combing straight out, and you can see guide to guide, connect, and you can see this bottom's dropping out here, so we know we're safe. We're not accidentally cutting off our length. There's just a little hump there. Okay, now we can come over here and do this side. Can we see? There we go. So my bottom just dropped out, so I know I'm safe. I'm not going to be cutting that off. And I can see my guide above there and below, and I want to connect the dots and take that little hump off in the center. It's really nice when your mannequin head doesn't spin when you're trying to comb her. I know you guys understand how that is. Okay, holding that hair in my cutting zone. So it's like I'm pinching my knuckle together here, so no hair can go beyond that, and therefore there's nothing to cut beyond that knuckle, and state board cannot take points off for that. So there's my, and I'm kind of adjusting my elevation because I'm trying to find, like if I'm all the way up here, it's not working for me to find a connect, but if I was too low, it wouldn't help me to find to connect my top. So you've got to find that elevation that allows you to connect the dots from your layer guide to your length guide. So that's about here. And let me just make it so you can see a little bit better. See right here, layer guide and length guide, all squeezed within my cutting zone. We're gonna cut that hump off in the middle, and we're safe. We're not cutting anything we're not supposed to. Okay, now we can take our back clip out. And we're gonna take a little piece from our apex up here to be our guide into our back section here, and we're almost done. So now I'm gonna have you clip your sides out of the way, because when you are going in here in layering, I don't want you to accidentally get these sides and cut them off when you're using this as your guide. So we clip these sides back out of the way, and oh, we're gonna unclip our last section to work on, and it's a big section. So you have two options. You can part this, get you another section down here, and you can come in with scissors at a 45 or a 90 to kind of blend this into what you razored, or you can, and then come up here and connect the dots from this into this, or you can make this section first. It's just sometimes this is too much hair for people to hold on to, so you just got to see what works for you. As long as you know where you're going and what you cut, you'll be fine. So I am going to comb this section up. And oh, it doesn't look like we're going to have a lot to cut off up here, if anything. Okay, so here's my guide from my apex in front. So I just have like this little tiny, so I'm gonna go ahead and get that. And I just like to cut right up against my guide. I don't like, my video shut off. So we found our elevation to make this blend here. And this is razor down here, so it's gonna be wispy, but the rest of the haircut needs to be cut blunt. So now I'm gonna pull that up here, drop out some of that. And we're just gonna be pinching into our cutting zone. And oh, here's my guide, here's my previous guide. So we can see this in the middle is safe to cut off. And now we'll come over here and do the same thing. So still picking up from my previous guide. And this is where, like, if you were in a really big hurry, you could hold this all in once, but it is best to separate. And notice I'm staying in my zone, okay? I don't go this way out of my zone. I don't go forward out of my zone. I'm staying in my zone, okay? So we're just gonna find what elevation we need to to blend that razor into our layers above. Drop some of that, take some of that with me as my guide for my next section. And here we go, and we can even see through my previous section too. So this is what I gotta cut off. Okay, now we're gonna come over here. And you can see exactly what I'm connecting to. Come above it. Again, doesn't help that she's spinning on me. So here we see my guide up here and my guide below, and here's that little hump I need to take off. I don't know if you guys can see that. Now we just got a little tiny right here to connect. Okay, now we have to cross-check. So if we want to cross-check, all we need to do is take a horizontal, because we cut vertically those layers. So we need to take those even horizontally, and whether you pull them straight out or down, still, as long as you're the same parting on each side of the head, should be able to tell if anything needs cut. It looks like it's pretty good. So that's good. Now, of course, palming. All right, my video shut off again. I think my phone's getting ready to die. But anyways, okay, back to palming, and we've cross-checked at the back, and now we need to come over here and check this way. So we're going from ear to ear, and we want to make sure that this is lining up and that we don't have any crazy little things going on, which we don't. Everything's nice and blended there. And now we're going to follow that all the way up to our top. And we're going to go, you can see this is my whole like front. And minus that she keeps spinning, this is lining up pretty good. Oh, can't see. Okay, and now we want to check our side, ear to ear. Ear all the way to ear, it should go like that. And now here's our other side. She's drying on me, so. And let's get into the frame here. Everything is blending nice there too. And now we're going to go ahead and check our center mohawk. I don't think we got this in before the video cut out, because I just kind of was like doing my thing, and then I noticed our video wasn't recording anymore. So, center mohawk. So here's the thing, if you miss something, you potentially can get marked off in 2 sections. So we get our little center mohawk. And you want to comb everything out. Side view, it's all blending in real nice. Now continue your mohawk down the center to the nape. Of course, we're being quick because you only have 30 minutes to do this at State Board. So we're just looking to make sure all of this is blending in nicely. Make sure you got you in my, so all of this down here is good, minus her loose ones. All of this right here is looking pretty good. And this right here is pretty good. So it's all connecting up to our top. So it's Mohawk bang to nape, and then Mohawk ear to ear in the front, and then length. And actually, I'd even check your length first. I just kind of lost track of what I was doing because my video stopped. So get her back in the center, comb it all down. Okay, and we want to get yourself the same position on both sides. So I go right under the cheekbone there, pull my fingers down, right under the cheekbone there, pull my fingers down at the same time. Looks like it's matching up real good. And then we want to check our full perimeter, so that's good. Side lengths are matching good. We're going to comb through here, make sure side to back is good. It is. Check our back. That's good. Now remember, the back's going to be wispy because you did it with the razor. So you're checking perimeter all the way around, combing it all the way through, straight down. Okay, over to other side. All right, good to go. And then I like to give a final little, where I like to feel in here, and all of this is blended nice too. Oh, and I don't think I showed you this yet on this part of the video. To check your layers, to make sure your side layers are blending in with your back, part through, okay, about halfway through, and leaving that length down. Just kind of comb these layers this way, and then you can see if it looks like there's anything you got to take to blend it in. And center part over here. Same thing, part straight through. Always making sure you leave some length down because you would not want to accidentally cut that off. Comb this all to the side. Quite spinning, Debbie, or this is Amanda. Okay. And looks like everything's, oh, we might have just a little tiny right there. Little tiny right here, see guide to guide. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get that. No big deal. And then, oh, I'm safe because look, here's my length was hanging down. And now I'm just gonna check and make sure that that blends in. Since I did find a little point on this side. Okay, notice my length on the side is dropping out, so I know it is safe to take this little tiny point right here, and I mean little tiny. Okay, all right, all done.